Good evening and welcome back. So, with the US Kenosha protests after the criminal who had a warrant for his arrest, Jacob Blake, was reaching into his vehicle after being tasered by police and most likely high on drugs after the police were called on him for his aggression towards the females at the case where he was at the time, and then escaping the police restraint to then go into his vehicle and being shot after that for what seemed to be reaching in for a weapon like he had done in previous cases, hence why there was a warrant out for his arrest at the time, in the following of the widespread burning and looting and rioting that is happening in Kenosha following that justified killing of a criminal. We've got 3 more people being shot from self-defense, but you've got to understand that if police kill somebody and they're black, it's bad no matter what, because black people can't be held responsible for their own actions, apparently, and therefore they are definitely saintly no matter what, even if they're career criminals and there's a warrant out for their arrest, and they're reaching for a weapon, and they're high on drugs, and they're not responding to police orders. And also that the laws don't apply to you the same if your political leanings are different from what is expected from you. And this is an example of that, because the gentleman who defended himself was not in support of Black Lives Matter, but instead wanted equal treatment under the law and didn't want racial prejudice taking precedent when it comes to how the law is carried out. Now he's being charged as a criminal, because in this day and age in the West, if you want equal treatment for everybody under the law, then you're racist or sexist or some bad-ist. Whereas you have to actually say that black people deserve special privileges, as do women, as do lesbians, gays, bisexuals, and especially trans, in particular transsexuals, that they deserve special privileges. Only then, basically just denigrate white people as much as you can, especially straight white men, because they're the devil. If you denigrate them as much as possible, then you are officially for equality instead. As long as you're targeting this particular group based on unalienable characteristics, then apparently you're for equality. And it's a load of shit mental gymnastics that are required to make that work, but that is how it stands. And it's not just in the academia, it's not just in the media, but it now also seems to be in the legal system as well. So it is spreading, it is a vile cancer, and that's what we're seeing here. But to give the complete benefit of the doubt, the gunman responsible for killing 2 people and wounding 1 more with his weapon was 17 years old, which means then he couldn't have legally owned the gun that he used in America. So he was also a criminal for having that gun in the first place. He was not allowed to defend himself or others with his own weapon, based on US law. If you think that that's wrong and should be changed, then that's going to have to come down to jury nullification when it gets to it. But as the law stands, he was breaking the law. Yes. So as the Daily Mail say, and it beggars belief just how anti-freedom they are, disturbing new footage shows gunman, 17, charged with murder of 2 Black Lives Matter protesters. Protesters. They're criminals, as in released early. Good job. As in aggravated sexual assault, paedophilia, that kind of thing. Murderers as well within this protesting bunch. In Kenosha, shooting dead his first victim with an AR-15, oh my god, the Armalite, who has now been identified as a father, 36, as police chief blames deaths on people breaking the curfew. I think, police chief, you're addressing symptoms and not the cause. If you were to drill down into, say, why did this happen in the first place, could it be because you may have decided instead of saying a man's been shot by police, this is going to be an investigation into see exactly why this happened. We are going to review all necessary evidence And if the policeman responsible for shooting Jacob Blake has broken the law and has any form of intent to murder or didn't act accordingly, then we will charge him, we will strike him off, and we will imprison him. Definitely. If, however, what he did was fully justified, we will stand by him 100% because we need a strong legal system in order to have a functioning society, and there will be nothing negative coming to him whatsoever. And that is why, until we find out what is going on, we will not be releasing his name. That is what should have happened. Instead of them going, well, yeah, the policeman was definitely in the wrong for shooting the criminal which there was a warrant out for his arrest while he seemed to be going for a weapon in his vehicle. That was definitely wrong. So fuck you, for one. And also, when it comes to people saying, oh, we should really know their name, like Sean King is trying to say, it's like, well, how well did that work out for you last time, mate? Where you tried to dox a guy and get him known by everybody so that then he was imprisoned, and then he killed himself because he couldn't handle the stress that you and your mob justice brought upon him, to then be posthumously exonerated because he was found innocent of all charges and not guilty whatsoever. You had the wrong guy. Now he's dead. Do you think that maybe mob justice isn't the way to go about these things? Social justice isn't the way to go about these things, but individual justice is? Do we think maybe that's how it should be done? And so when it comes to self-defense and various waves of communists coming at you, that of course you're going to defend yourself. We do not agree with lynchings. They were terrible in the past, and surely BLM protesters can get behind that, to say lynchings were bad because they mainly happened to black people. So yeah, they were bad when a mob came to kill the black person without proper trial. Then yeah, that was bad. And the black person should have been able to defend themselves and therefore not be hanged from a tree while the white people have picnics. Surely that would have been the right thing. But apparently no, that's changed. And it is nice to see at least that it isn't just on racial lines, but they are tying in the politics, because the person responsible for shooting them was white, and the victims were also white. But it's then because of the politics, of course, which ties into race, because it's like, well, do you support individuals or do you support black superiority tearing apart the family unit in communism? Because if you don't and you're not an ardent communist, then you are going to be imprisoned because you killed one of the comrades, you see, and that just can't be accepted, and that really is the state of play. So Kyle Rittenhouse, 17, was arrested on Wednesday at his home in Antioch, Illinois, 20 miles from Kenosha. Yes, the day after he surrendered himself to the police because he was running from the mob. That's when he tripped. They came after him, tried to hit him over the head, tried to shoot him, and therefore he took out both those two people who were about to cause him serious bodily harm, and nobody else was able to get up, go back to where the police then were arriving, and he gave himself up immediately. Yes, he did. And then they arrested him the following day, and they knew exactly who he was because he gave himself up, because he isn't looking to be a criminal. He is somebody who supports the rule of law, and also called a gun nut, which I think maybe, having read this entire article a few times, is just their way of saying libertarian or freedom-loving. That's what they mean by gun nut, which is good to know. And then the footage they show is not the best, but nonetheless you can still see that he's defending himself from the criminals, as in released criminals, as in convicted criminals who were chasing him down, and he tries to defend himself. Should he have been out there in the first place? Probably not. Should he have just waited for them to come to his home? Probably not. Was there something good he could have done? Apparently not. Of course, if you go back to the Constitution and the idea of the Second Amendment and defending yourselves, they don't care about you being 18 or 21, depending on what you're trying to buy, like handgun restrictions. Of course they don't. They would say before you're teenagers, you should get used to firing weapons so that you can defend yourselves and your family and also be prepared for internal or external threats. That was the whole idea of it. But instead we've decided that an adult is 18 years of age or 21 for some reasons, still in America for drinking, for example, compared to voting or going to war. But that wasn't how it was intended, and just trying to pick an 18-year-old that they differ so much that some 18-year-olds would be comparable to 24-year-olds and others would be more comparable to 14-year-olds. That you can't really tell just from one age. But he is being charged as an adult, and I don't think that should really make any difference, given that he doesn't seem to have done anything wrong. But, of course, they're trying to pull on the heartstrings and show you this criminal here, Jacob Blake, with his sexual assault before, but thankfully not being able to walk again will make it difficult to try to rape anyone, so that'll be good. And, hey, if you can get rid of murderers and paedophiles the way that the police can't, then maybe some people would actually appreciate you for that. Very disappointingly, though, of course, the response has been simply to donate money to the criminals. And that's just the way it goes. That it seems that feelings don't care about facts, and they will pay for that. So we also see a more realistic image of what's being shown here with the couple who are attacking Kyle and therefore trying to defend himself, because if he didn't, he would probably be dead. So at the end of the day, it comes down to, would you rather be dead or your attacker be dead? And I think killing your attacker is a far more preferable solution, personally. But that's how it stands now. So yeah, you've got sad people, and until they go, okay, right, we've had enough of these rioters, the National Guard is going to have to come in. Yes, we're going to accept Trump's help that he's been offering for a hell of a long time now, because having these riots for months on end, and yes, it really is multiple months at this point, we cannot have this anymore, and we can't have this spreading around, and we are going to simply state, this is the law, these are justified shootings, the police are already having a difficult enough time. If you don't appreciate it, you don't have to stay here, but we are not going to give people special privileges under the law. And if you think having a good start in life is so important, then maybe you protect the family unit so that the children have positive female role models and positive male role models. Don't try putting this all on the government, because it's your fault, and you've got to take responsibility for your own actions. Because until that happens, you're just going to see the same shit again and again and again. And when you've got the same legacy media commentators, whether it be the Daily Mail, the BBC, CNN, MSNBC, whoever it might be, just race baiting again and again and again, just trying to sow division, which results in people being killed, then of course it's going to continue. So maybe we just try to do our best in order to get news out there and explaining how these are justified shootings. These are not innocent civilians who are being killed. These are criminals who are quite rightly being killed for their actions in the process of trying to cause more harm to other people. That is what we're looking for as a response. So until the police can get behind the idea of being a police officer, then of course it's going to continue this way. And until families can get behind the idea of being families, then of course it's going to continue getting this way. So how about we all take it upon ourselves to take personal responsibility, find the truth, spread it out as far and wide, and maybe, just maybe, we can put an end to this. But hey, you're going to see more people like Kyle if the police aren't doing their job and the media keeps race baiting. And I've said time and time and time again, and I will continue to say it, that the left trying to cause a physical fight with right-wingers is a terrible mistake for them. The left-wingers, the socialists who think everybody else is responsible for them, are too emotional and cry at anything are going to lose fights every single day of the week to any right-winger who understands that they're responsible for their own actions, for where they're going. They've got to train in order to be self-sufficient. They've got to look after other people, and they've got to be ready for any eventuality. Who the fuck do you think is going to win? So until they wake up and smell what they're shoveling, it's just what's going to keep happening. So I think, as Tim Pool is saying, civil war, I think if it does get any worse, it won't get much worse for long, because the right wingers will end it. They'll come down like a ton of bricks. Left wingers will not know what's hit them. And maybe we can just get rid of communism for another few decades, because we all know they've earned it. But as always, let me know what you guys think down below. What do you think will actually put an end to this utter shit? If we can't trust the government, does it come down to the individuals? In which case, how many more martyrs are going to have to be the case, like Kyle here, before the message gets across and the lefties stop their fucking riots? Or am I missing something completely? Either way, let me know down below, and until next time, as always, have a good one.